I traveled obscenely far to come to this thrift store, and honestly, I don't know if it was worth it or not. I really like thrifting, and sometimes that does mean that I go far distances. Unfortunately, this time, I don't know entirely if it was worth it. Let me explain. This thrift store was really cool, and they did have a ton of different stuff. I really did enjoy seeing all of their variety of materials, and yeah, I really love going to thrift stores in order to look at different kinds of jewelry and different kinds of home decor items, and they had those kinds of things. However, I just didn't think that anything they had was really all that worth it. Like, there were definitely some gems in here, you know, some things were very cute, but overall, I felt like a lot of their stuff was kind of overpriced, if I'm being honest, and that's like a trend that I've noticed among thrift stores recently. They've just been getting so expensive, and I don't know why, because everything in a thrift store is literally donated. However, this was a little bit of an expensive foray into the thrift store side of things. Everything was like at least $1 more than it should have been, which I am not that kind of person. You know, whenever I go to a thrift store, I want it to be dirt cheap, because in my mind, if everything is kind of donated, then I don't think you should be upselling or upcharging for that kind of stuff. I do a lot of videos of me going to different kinds of thrift stores, so if you're interested in that kind of content, feel free to subscribe for more. I really like exploring all sorts of different ones, and I will always give you an honest opinion of what I think of a thrift store. I went over to their book section, as well as like the miscellaneous junk kind of section that every thrift store has in the back of the store, and I found this really cool old iron. I really think that old time irons work better than modern irons, because I have an iron and then my mom's iron too, like whenever I visit her at her house, and my mom's iron frankly works a ton better than my iron does. I have one of those like modern irons, steamer machine things, and frankly it does not really iron my clothes all that well. I don't know why. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I just don't like the modern like irons as much as the old-timey ones. So I was looking at that one. However, like I said, I do have a new iron, so I didn't get it. But pro tip, if you're looking for an iron, I don't know why you would be looking for an iron, because I don't know why I even have my iron. I just got it because it was something to get when I was moving into a new house, or apartment rather. I don't have a house. I wish I had a house. And yeah, it was on sale. I was at IKEA. I was like, might as well get it. I did not really appreciate how much I paid for it, considering it does not work. These kinds of pillows are so cool to me. I've always wanted to own one. However, I'm not a big believer in buying things that I won't actually use, and I know for a fact that I will not be using that pillow for literally anything, and the color just does not go with any of my decor, so it's like I literally would not be using that for anything. So I left it in the store for somebody who would actually be able to appreciate it to use. I kept looking. One of my favorite things to do recently is drink out of jars. I go through so many jars of pickles that I have so many drinking jars now, and I do literally all of my drinking through jars, like coffee, tea, water, of course. I am a hydro homie, as the people online say. I sound like such an old person, as the people online say, but I do love drinking water as my beverage of choice. I don't drink like juices, and I very rarely drink anything like milk or something like that. I'm not opposed to drinking milk, but I also don't really see myself as the type of person who will just pick up some milk and drink it. If I have a cookie or something, I will have some milk with that. I'm not also a big believer in dunking cookies in milk. I think that they just get soggy. I like a crispy cookie. However, to wash down a cookie, I will drink some milk. I don't know why I'm on this tangent. I've just like kind of gone all over the place in this video. We've talked about irons, we've talked about milk for some reason, and now we're talking about these phone cords. I really love the old-timey aesthetic of like wrapping your finger around a phone cord when you're talking to somebody. However, when is the last time you guys actually talked to somebody on the phone? Because I think that I probably talk to people on the phone more often because I call my mom and my dad really regularly. I am definitely one of those people who calls them like every day or every other day. But otherwise, I don't remember the last time I actually called anybody on the phone. Like, I don't talk to people on phones. I barely even text people back if I'm being honest. So I will never be able to experience like wrapping my finger around a cord and like having that Gossip Girl moment, and I'm kind of sad about that. I kept walking through the store as one does. And again, by this point, I was like realizing that maybe traveling this far to come to this thrift store was not the best idea because I hadn't really found anything that I liked and nothing had jumped out to me. I definitely did see a couple of cool things, but nothing was like super eye-catching, super I have to have it. So I just kept going. I really love decorative baskets. Baskets are definitely one of my favorite items to decorate with. They're functional and they're also super cute. A lot of these baskets, however, were super basic, and I prefer a little bit more pizzazz, I guess, with my basket. So I kept it moving. They had a bunch of different like tchotchkes. I don't know how to pronounce that word. It's such a fun word, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So you know what I'm talking about though. They have a bunch of fun knickknacks, and I really liked seeing all of the different kinds of like glassware and stuff. I will say that this thrift store, even though it was mostly a disappointment for me, I did have a lot of really cool glassware, like a bunch of different cool vases, a bunch of different cool like jars and drinking glasses. All of that kind of stuff was super nice. And I will say, if I hadn't traveled literally like 40 miles to come here, I maybe would have picked up some of the glassware, but 40 miles in a car, and frankly, I'm not the best driver in the world. I didn't think that was safe. That is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.